Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Dynamite Shirt Printing, Kyle Metz. What a guy. He came on as a sponsor, and my primary use for him is drop shipping. So what that means is that I don't got to buy inventory. I don't got to buy a bunch of t-shirts. Kyle handles it all. So it's ordered online, and then he prints it and ships it, and he handles everything. And it works out for both parties. If you're looking for something else like general screen printing, he handles that. He does embroidery. He does direct to garment, DTG, which means you can do one-offs, and there's no minimum on that. Kyle's been able to help a lot of businesses that I've been funneling to him just to get going and to, start up. I mean, you don't want to order 100 t-shirts when you're just coming out the gate. And Kyle can handle small orders, large orders. He can handle everything you need. That's Dynamite Shirt Printing, and it's dynamiteshirtprinting.com. Go check it out. My favorite skate shop in the Valley, 5anddimeeaston.com. You can shop online or in store. Their address is 140 Northampton Street, Easton, PA. Their hours are Monday through Friday, 11 to 7, Saturday, 10 to 7, and Sundays, 11 to 5. They carry clothing, shoes, boards, accessories, and more. You can get complete decks down there. They got grip. They got some local clothing down there as well. I know a couple guys that came on the show that they're now selling stuff in store, and they're exclusive to Fucked. They are doing so much for the independent skate community. They're doing so much for the DIY. They're doing a lot in the area with skateboarding, and I couldn't be prouder to have them as a sponsor. Their story is incredible, from starting it when they were 18 and then coming back later in life to opening up what the store is that they wanted. And the two guys down there are just incredible. I can't say enough good things about them. I love that they're a sponsor, and they really help out in the community. And if you skate or want to support them, please go check them out locally. It is 140 Northampton Street, Easton, PA. Online, it is 5anddimeeaston.com. Please go check them out. All Valley Rooter, Jared LaBarba, friend of the show, childhood friend, Never Again Studios official plumber. 24-hour emergency services. 610-762-1656. That's 610-762-1656. They charge by the job, not by the hour, and they are 100% fully insured. They have free estimates. They also do installation and repair. They have a list of things. I can't go over them all on here, but you can find them at allvalleyrouter.net. All of Jared's services are on there. It's a beautiful website. You can contact him through that website. You can find out how to do, emergency services. Where should I call? Who should I contact? You can get all that there at allvalleyrouter.net. Free estimates, fully insured. Jared LaBarba. Check him out.
I'm Mark. They call me Rip. Rips Auto Detail. You can find me on Instagram, Rips Auto Detail, RIPS Auto Detail. You can hit me, Mark, at ripsautodetail.com for my email. So if you want to call me, 484-553-1366. Social medias, really, you'll see most of what I'm doing. But for the business, give me a follow on Rips Auto Detail. Watch what I'm doing. If you're interested in paint corrections, ceramic coatings, anything in the Lehigh Valley as far as highline aesthetics for your vehicle. We're not talking cheap stuff here, and I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. It just is what it is. I've been working at this for a long time, and if you want someone to take a prideful approach to the aesthetic care of your vehicle and really turn you out a product that you haven't experienced with someone else before, give me a shot, man. It's a one-man approach, and everybody gets the same level of devotion. Obviously some jobs cost more and some less, and you've got to draw a fine line there. It's easy to really obsess over things and go too far sometimes and over-deliver. It's never really a bad thing, though. So give me a shot.
I have no clue what episode this is. Never Again Radio. Welcome to the studio, my friend. You're so grown up from the first time I met you. You're probably one of the first people I met coming in and out of the school, because you're always there. And then I think you were teaching or just started teaching, because this was probably, I'm trying to think back to when I first met you, but we've always gone in and out. And then I started seeing you do podcasts, and then I was like, oh, cool. I didn't know if you would want to do it. So then here we are. How did you get into jiu-jitsu? Where did your path start with these guys? Because I know you were super young when you came into Finishers.
Yeah, so with Zach and JM, I started when I was, I think, 11. So it's been...
That's so crazy.
Yeah, right?
How old are you?
17 now.
Nice.
But yeah, so I started when I was 11. I've been doing martial arts like my whole life.
What got you into it?
So it's kind of a stupid story. I remember one day I was at school. I was probably maybe kindergarten because I was like 5, maybe first grade, and I brought a library book home, and inside the library book was this bookmark with an advertisement for Action Karate on it.
Yes.
And I was looking at it, and
Was
I
that in Nazareth at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're still over at that spot.
Over by like down. I don't know what that name of that road is. It's like by 7-Eleven and shit.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a bookmark for Action Karate Nazareth, and I pulled out the book and I was like, "Mom, this looks cool. I want to go try it." And I just started doing karate, and then I was there until I was like 9.
Did you like karate?
Yeah, well, when I was doing it, I did.
Yeah.
I was doing it for a while, probably like 4 years. I got my black belt, and I did the whole thing, and then towards the end of it, I was like, "Yeah, I want to try something else." So then I went to another school called Apgar MMA, which it's not there anymore. But I was there until I was like 11, and I got my black belt there too. And then I started with Zach and JM, and that's where I've been since. But I don't know, it's kind of stupid. It started from a bookmark in a library book.
No, I don't think it's stupid. What's crazy is that it was a library back then. I feel like people don't go to libraries anymore.
No, they don't. People stopped going to libraries when the internet started actually being a thing.
Yeah.
Like, kids these days don't even read books.
No, I don't think anyone reads anything. What drew you to like? Did you like the discipline of it? Was that kind of like? Were you playing other sports? Was it just kind of like karate and martial arts was really your main focus? I mean, because of what you've done at Finishers and what you're kind of moving your career into, you obviously have to be obsessed with the practice of it and the discipline of it of some sense, but like what drew you to constantly keep going back? Because I know there's a ton of kids that get into karate or martial arts and it's not for them, or were you doing other sports, or was this just kind of all you were doing?
Yeah, so I played soccer for a little while when I was real little, like that 5-6 age range, I think. I don't know what it really was. I just really enjoyed doing it, and eventually I just started doing it so much that it became part of my routine.
Yeah.
And it was like I couldn't not do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like later on I was playing lacrosse and stuff.
Did you like lacrosse?
Yeah. It was something for me to do. And then I think what really did it for me stopping lacrosse was it started getting in the way of me training.
Yeah.
And by that point, when I stopped, I was already training with Zach and JM.
Yeah.
And it like practices were cutting into times when I would have to go to jiu-jitsu. So I was like, I will just stop this and keep training. But like, I don't know. I've always just loved doing it. And I think the martial arts has helped me with so much other stuff in my life that I just can't not do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it'll throw, like even if I don't train for like a day, if I like take a night off of class, it'll just throw my whole thing out of whack. And I'm like, dude, I need to do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What was it like for you walking through the doors of Zach and JM's place? Was it a different feel compared to the other schools? Did you know it was kind of something special back then, or was it something that you kind of gravitated to, or was it just a little bit more serious than the other schools?
So when I started with Zach and JM, the first day that I walked in,
what school was it?
it was the
Back by Jimmy John's?
Yeah, it was the Jimmy
that's
John's
when I
one
met them.
back in the day. But yeah, when I first came, like you never know what it's going to be when you first walk in. Like,
No, it's a little intimidating.
Yeah, like whatever it is, you never know what it's going to be. But then I walked in, and the vibes were just kind of, everybody was chill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone was real nice. I started right with adult class, and all the adults were cool, and they were cool with me being 11 and taking the adult class. And nobody, like I was drawn with Grace, so nobody really said anything. But the first day I walked in, right, I met Zach. I shook Zach's hand. We introduced ourselves, and then I met JM, and JM didn't introduce himself. He was like, the first day me walking in, he knew I did martial arts before. He's like, show me how you would set up a heel hook. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And then that's how I met JM. And then I took class. I remember I did kickboxing and jiu-jitsu on that first day. And that was the first day I met Grace too. And I was just working with her, and then I rolled that night too, which I don't know if that was a good idea. My first roll was actually Thor.
What's so crazy is peeling the story back to these guys all being in that one little school. Like,
Yeah,
you know
it
what I
was-
mean?
it's-
Like,
it's crazy. Like,
it's because
exactly.
now, fast forward, everything that's going on with where they're at, where Thor's at, what with Grace,
Yeah.
the combat jiu-jitsu, like
Yeah.
it's really crazy, and that's not that long ago.
No, dude, that was only what 5, 6 maybe years ago.
Yeah.
Zach and Jan were still brown belts. Grace
Yeah.
was probably 13, so Grace was still white belt. Thor was a purple belt. Like all the dudes that I started training with back at that Jimmy John spot, a lot of them are black belts now, and I've
Yeah.
known them since they were like blue belts.
That's crazy.
And it's wild.
It's crazy.
But yeah, so then I took class, and I was actually supposed to have another trial class over at another gym, and I'm not going to name drop it, but they didn't get back to me on the trial class, right? So I decided that that Finishers was the spot for me, and I've just been training there ever since. Like Zach and Jam and everybody was super welcoming, and it was real cool, you know, because I was a little kid training with all the grown ass adults, and I didn't know how I was going to be, but everyone was just real cool with it. So I was like, all right, this is the place for me.
When you started really getting into kind of the practice of it and like really learning jiu-jitsu and getting into that being your routine, where did it start impacting your life where it was just like, you know, a positive outlet, or like when did it start becoming, because at this point, watching your social media and just seeing who you are as a person, like it's 90% of your life and you're like growing up through it. And it's very interesting to watch somebody who has their head on so straight and is kind of self-aware of what's going on. And you can tell that the martial art is, you know, a big part of that. But like, when did it start clicking with you kind of growing up through jiu-jitsu with all these people that like you started seeing it, you know, all the stuff that like Zach and JM talk about when they're like coaching and like the positive effects on it? Like, when did that start like kind of clicking with you that you were like, oh, this isn't just bullshit, this is really like changing my life?
So I think the first time that it really clicked to me was at the end of 8th grade. So I'd been training with them for maybe 2-3 years at that point. But at the end of 8th grade, I decided that I was going to make the switch from public school to online school, so that way I could train more and I could teach for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's when it really clicked. Like, it's always been a real positive aspect of my life, whether it was martial arts when I was real little or jiu-jitsu now. But I think right then was probably when it was, because that's when I started being able to do all this cool stuff. Like, I don't know. Right now, if I wasn't online school, I'd be in school and not doing a podcast with you. So,
Well, you obviously have supportive parents, and
Yeah.
what was it like for you to bring that to your parents and be like, hey, like, I think I want to go homeschooled, and that way I can train more, and then I can start working? Because like I didn't know you homeschooled till we were talking in the lobby at Finishers, but then it made sense as to why you would do something like that. But in order to see that far down the road, and then your parents to kind of trust that would work out for you, that's got to be really cool to have them support you that much, because you're building essentially a career. You're an athlete inside of a sport, and then like you're also doing something super constructive on a daily basis. How did that conversation go when you pitched it to them, or was it their idea? Like, where did that come about?
So we kind of both came to the idea, because they knew that I wasn't like, school was never like fun. Like I've always done really well in school. And I think that's a big part of why they let me do it. Like, if I wasn't doing well in school, they'd be like, absolutely not.
Yeah, I had no leverage in that conversation.
Yeah, so I think it was kind of both of us, you know, like I didn't really want to be in public school and I wanted to train all the time. So then like it was always kind of in the back of my head that I could do online or at home stuff, and then they kind of brought it to me and they were like, well, you could do this. If you know, you got to keep your grades up, you got to make sure everything's right with all your schoolwork, so that way you can do this. So that's kind of been the deal between me and my parents, and we've, you know, it's been working out.
That's awesome that they actually gave you the opportunity, because, you know, at such a young age, for you to have the opportunity to excel in something and then prove to yourself that you can, you know, do something that's not norm of, like, you know, all, like a lot of the public school kids, if they would want to do something like that, I don't know if it would work out as well as it's working out for you. So like, to be that young and to be able to see that like you can kind of go do your own thing and find a different way to get things done, it's got to be pretty cool to be able to like be pulling that off.
Yeah, I think a huge part of it is just the discipline that I've learned from martial arts. Like, a lot of kids wouldn't be able to do the online school thing. They just wouldn't do it, or their grades would slip or whatever.
Too many distractions.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you're at home, I'm at home, right? I got my phone, I got my PlayStation, I got.
Yeah, how do you keep the distractions away? Do you have like a little area set up in your room where you do all your work from?
Yeah, so I got my desk, like my laptop's there, my iPad's on my desk, so all the stuff I need's right there. And I like kind of, I don't know, I don't find it that difficult for me to not get distracted.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll get like a message from somebody and I'll be on my phone for a little bit, but then I'll get back to it. And I get my schoolwork done anyway, so even if I do,
yeah, it's nice
take
to
a
have
break in
that
the middle of the
freedom.
day.
Yeah,
It's not. I don't think it's too difficult. Just the discipline that I've learned from my parents in martial arts. Kids wouldn't be able to do that, and I think that's a reason why it's worked for me.
When did you start building the job, or how did you bring it up to Zach and JM about coaching, or not coaching, teaching classes? Like, was that something you were nervous about asking them to do? Had they offered it to you, or like, where did you find the time to start building a job inside of doing at-home schooling?
So for a while, I was just coming in early before I would before I would take class, and then I would help out with the kids' class, whether it was like rolling with the kids or just helping them with moves or whatever. And there was a point, I don't remember which Eddie Bravo seminar it was. I don't remember if it was the first or second one, but my parents had decided that it was time for me to start figuring out how to pay for seminars. So I brought it up to Zach, and I was like, "Yo, I really want to come to this Eddie seminar." And it was like, it's like $100, and I was like, "Yo, how do I? What can I do something around the school to get paid and help you guys out, so that way I can do the seminars and stuff?" And Zach was like, "Yeah, we'll pay you to start helping with class." And then eventually from there, as I got older, he was just like, "Yeah, if you want to." It started with I taught 1 day a week, and now I teach Monday through Friday kids classes and then adult class on Saturday morning. So it just kind of spiraled into where I'm at now.
It's really cool that your parents are doing stuff like this, because having you find your own way to make that money is showing you the responsibilities of like going after something you want. And if you don't earn it, you don't get it. And I feel like a lot of people are lost in that with growing up anymore. You see different things with kids, but I think that's really cool that they were like, yeah, if you want to go to these seminars, like you can pay for it. And then you had to pay for it.
It's the same thing. Like, with that, and like you said, if you want to get it, you got to earn it. It's like the same thing in jiu-jitsu. Like if you want to win the tournament, if you want to tap a dude, you gotta earn it. You gotta work for it. You gotta put the work in the gym. So it's the same thing, like with that. And that's something my dad always has been on me about, is like working for stuff that I wanna get. You know what I mean? It's not just handed to me. You gotta work for it, right? So if I wanted to go to that Eddie seminar, I had to help Zach with class, or I had to teach a class, or whatever it was. So I earned that money, and I paid for that Eddie seminar by myself.
It's got to be interesting just hearing this from, like, this is like your life.
Yeah.
Like you're training, you're going to school online, and then now you're developing a job through the school. And then like you're kind of like living in your own little jiu-jitsu bubble, and you're kind of just creating these moves, and you're just kind of expanding the bubble out as you get older. And like the more you put in the hard work, whether it's to get money to do things that you want, or it's to train harder to get further in your career with jiu-jitsu, it all is coming out of like discipline and hard work that you learned from the core of taking martial arts at such a super young age.
Yeah, like that's how it is. You know what I mean? Like with whatever it is that you would want to do, you work for it, and then it presents itself to you. You know what I mean? There's no other way to put it. Like, you're not gonna get better at something by not doing it. It doesn't happen like that.
No.
I'm not gonna get better at jiu-jitsu by not doing jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna make money by sitting on my couch.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta get up and do it, and that's kind of how martial arts has been. You know, I didn't get a black belt from karate and all this other stuff. I didn't get a purple belt from Zach and JM by doing nothing. I got a purple belt from training every freaking day, teaching class 6 days a week, and going out and crushing competitions as a result of what I've been doing. It's like, you know, the stuff that I have is because I worked for it. It's not, I didn't get it handed to me.
Yeah, what a huge lesson your parents and martial arts have presented you at such a young age. What was it like for you to start teaching? Were you nervous, or was it you kind of knew the kids from helping out, or what was it like when you kind of just like did your first class?
I don't remember what day I taught my first class was, but usually, so I'd been working with the kids for a while, and all the kids knew me, and all the kids knew that I was teaching the right moves and doing the right stuff for them, and I was cool with all that. Like I have a little brother that trains too.
Yeah.
And he, he's in there with all the kids, same thing.
No,
so all
I met
the kids
him from the pop-ups.
Yeah, he's cool. Yeah, but all the kids knew me already. I think it was just nervous leading the class, like getting up and talking and teaching the move.
That's
I'm
not
like,
easy
what
to
if
do, especially at a young age. Because if you're not into public speaking, or like I always hated talking in groups. I always hated getting called on. I think when I was 21 and started bartending, that broke it out, because you have to interact with people. So it's probably similar to when you're teaching class. Like you do that for a month, you're no longer really caring about talking to people because you're being forced to teach class.
Yeah, I don't find it difficult anymore, and I really like teaching. I like teaching whatever it is, moves. Whenever new people come in, I always like helping them out. I just think it's fun to see people grow and stuff. And I did this the other day. I put up a technique video on my Instagram for the first time.
Yeah.
And that blew up. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna keep doing that. But I don't find it hard to talk in front of people anymore. I think it's way harder in front of the kids than it is the adults. And I don't know why that is, but it just is. Like the kids all just sit there and they look at me and I'm like, am I...
Well, there's no filter on kids. Whenever we do food testings, I always give them to Gina's kids, because they'll be like, that sucks.
Yeah, that too.
Like your friends will be like, oh, it's pretty good, man. Like where the kids will be like, we'll spit the food out, and I'll be like, okay, like
Word.
maybe we gotta work. Maybe we gotta work on a different dressing.
Yeah, I don't find it difficult anymore. I've just been doing it so much. It's just like I just go in, I do my thing, and then I'm done. That's it.
Do you feel at this point that because you've been teaching so long, is that like I've only rolled a couple times in a class, and then I took privates, but like I have had Zach and I've had JM at least one time each, and they both teach differently, but they're both their class is their class. Do you feel like you're forming that now, kind of doing this long enough where like people have the opportunity to kind of get your version and your vision of what you're doing, or do you think you have a little bit more to go?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of the kids, like I teach the kids fundamentals class, so we don't roll or go live or anything. It's just technique. But I think a lot of the kids, like when they come up out of my class and they move into Zach's kids advanced class, you can tell that they were working with me. I think it's like that across all the guys that teach at our gym. Like if you look at guys that maybe, I don't know, I don't think people do that, but just train with Zach or just train with JM, or like majority train with Zach or majority with JM, or whoever it is, Renee or Tom or whatever. You can
there's so many people teaching now.
Yeah, you can kind of look and tell what their style is based on who they're learning from. Like everyone has their kind of own twist on how to explain moves, or how to, or like when they roll, you can tell everyone does jiu-jitsu differently. You can look at guys from different gyms and be like, yeah, that makes sense.
And how they host the class as well.
That gym's style is this, right? So you can kind of tell. And I think the kids that train with me a little bit, like I don't go deep into a lot of my, because a lot of my game is real advanced jiu-jitsu, like rubber guard and leg locks. I'm not going to do that in my kids' fundamentals class. But a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, especially right now, a lot of the stuff that I'm working on and doing, I just teach in a kids class. Like I've been teaching a lot of passing lately because I've been trying to get up on my passing. So like when I see the kids do it when they roll, it's because like me and Zach showed it to them. You know what I mean? So we kind of, like the kids do the jiu-jitsu that me and Zach do. That's it. It's
so interesting to hear all this, because my brain just keeps going, like, because you're growing up in all of this. So then if you really look at like when you started to where everybody is now, it's like you were rolling with Grace, you were rolling with Thor, like you've kind of been underneath everybody at this point that's doing something,
right?
And then taking a little bit of everybody, because even when you said Renee, I forgot about Renee teaching there, and Renee's classes are totally different. He does like a lot of like calming, and like it's a different vibe.
It's a different vibe.
But I like that. But what's really cool then, the more I thought about it, is anyone who comes to that school is you could be taking classes, but because the teachers all have a different thing, it's like you can literally get a different version of jiu-jitsu from somebody there any day of the week. Yeah, it's not a repetitive thing, because the person teaching is making it their own.
No, you get different looks on stuff, and I think that's why a lot of our guys have had such good success, because it's not one person pushing their style of jiu-jitsu. Like we got guys that do all sorts of different stuff. You know what I mean? We got people that are real good at playing guard. We got people that are real good at passing. We got wrestlers. We got leg lockers. So when you can learn from all these guys and take different pieces of it, that's when I think people really start getting good. Like look at Grace. Obviously Grace is real good, but she learned all her jiu-jitsu from Zach and JM, right? And she took the best parts of their game and made it her thing. And she's got stuff that she figured out, right? So then people that learn from, like me, I learn from Grace all the time. I take stuff from Grace. All the moves, a lot of the cool stuff I'm hitting, I just take from Zach and JM and the guys I'm learning from. So it's their jiu-jitsu, but I'm just putting my own thing on it. You know?
It's cool to kind of relate to that for a second where, you know, like when I came up cooking, it's like I worked under different chefs and then you learn different techniques from them. And the one guy who I worked underneath, Flavio, who was like a decorated guy in the city, and he's done so much different stuff. And he's like, I'm going to show you how to do this. And then if you could do this better or faster or make it your own and you still get it done, do it that way. I don't care that you don't do it exactly the way I'm teaching you. And then when that kind of opened up my head, I started realizing all these different things that I learned from chefs. And even now, like if I watch, you know, an Action Bronson cooking thing and I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea, but I would do this, and then you make it your own.
Right.
It's my favorite way to create. It's got to be cool for you to have the opportunity to just get that many different looks. And then, you know, and it's also like, you know, to anyone listening, for how long you've been putting in the work, like you say, the longer you go in, not that it's easier to become, but the more you get out of, because you understand it. So like when you started, you were just, you know, you have a blank canvas. Now you have like this intricate web of things, but the only reason it's that much is because you put in all the work. And once you put in all the work, then you're just showing up and learning more. And when you learn how to learn, I think that's when like things really start clicking. That's got to be crazy for you to have soaked all this in and kind of put in the work and then figured out a way. It's just so crazy how young you are that like you were like, hey, if I take this out, I'll get way more out of life than this over here. And I don't think people look at that, where when I was going to school, it was like, all right, you have to finish school and then you're either getting a job in a factory or you're going to college. And like when that was such a narrow perspective on like what I could do with my life. And I fought tooth and nail to get to something like this, where now I feel like there's a little bit more opportunity for people to look at things a little bit different. But I mean, for you to be able to do all that, it's awesome.
Yeah, I think like it's just because I think, especially in jiu-jitsu, I think it's because people kind of put their own twist on things, you know, like I think that's the reason jiu-jitsu is still expanding. Like we haven't figured out all the moves yet, you know what I mean? I don't think we ever will. Somebody's always going to find something new because they're working on stuff, right? It's the same thing I feel like in the world. Like people figure out how to open up new doors to go through, so then that door's open for more people, right? Like I don't know what I think that's the reason there's so many new jobs and new careers and whatnot now than there was however long ago, you know, just because people are opening up new doors. Especially like go again, jiu-jitsu, like back when like Hicks and Gracie and all those guys were doing jiu-jitsu, they didn't have all the modern jiu-jitsu that we have now. They had all the basics. They had triangles and arm bars and rear naked chokes. Like they weren't doing like right now a huge one is the false reap, which is some crazy leg lock entry that's real complicated. They weren't doing that back then. People just figured it out, and it's just because everyone does their own thing. You know, everyone figures out their own jiu-jitsu, I feel like. You know, people come up with new moves all the time. That's why the game is evolving and changing, and new moves come in and old moves come back and all sorts of stuff. So it's like the new doors open because people are out there pushing for it.
It's like it's an endless rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Of like creativity and then like growth. And if you want to put the work in to build your own style on top of a technique, you can really claim, space for yourself in a really cool community. What's it been like for you to be working with Grace at such a young age? And I know you guys are tight, but like, what's it been like becoming her friend and watching her go through everything that she's gone through, but also being a part of the school? And I'm sure that's been a massive motivator for you to even work harder. But to have somebody special like that, I mean, there's so many people special at the school, but like she stands out to me as like one of the first to come out and do like crazy stuff. But then for you guys to kind of be similar in age, that must have been a unique way to become friends with somebody at that school.
No, it's cool. Like I said, I've been training with Grace since I started.
How old was she when you were there?
When I started, so she's like 2 years older than me, maybe a little more, so probably 13 maybe. When I started, but like I don't know, Grace is so good, dude. It makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense to me how good Grace is. Like she would beat my ass real bad when we were kids, and she beats my ass real bad now. And I'm like 30 pounds heavier than she is, and like way stronger, and I still can't do anything. But no, it's cool. A lot of stuff I've learned off of Grace. A lot of techniques that I do, and the way I move and the way my guard works. A lot of it I just took off of Grace because we're kind of a little bit the same in jiu-jitsu style, but different. Like Grace real small, and I'm pretty long, and my legs are real long, and my arms are real long and lanky. So like a lot of stuff that I do is different, but like we're both real flexible. So a lot of the moves that she can pull, I can do the same thing. So like just I learn from her every time I roll her. So I always do, like, I'll think of something that I don't think she's thought of yet, but she already thought of it like 10 minutes before I did. So like I don't know how to do anything to her, or I'll do something to her and then she'll just figure a way out of it that I didn't even think of, and I'm like, dang, I got to figure out how to block that now. So it's like,
it's also
cool. It's really
it had
cool.
to have been really, really good for you to have somebody kind of similar in age to to become friends with at the school, because of you being in, coming in there and doing in the adults, and then to have somebody your same age, and you guys seem to have similar interests in things that you do. Yeah. So I mean, that must have been cool to find a really good friend to then make you want to go back to the school more. And that community there is so unique and special, but there's so many different relationships everybody has. It seems like everybody gets along for the most part, but then there's like little pockets of like just groups of people that are like really good friends with each other, and then it's a very unique thing to watch from my little outside perspective of it. But it probably felt good to have somebody your same age that you could go there and be friends with.
It was awesome because like when we started, we were pretty close to the same. Again, I'm way bigger in Grace now, but
you're growing.
Yeah, I'm trying.
You're eating your peas.
But like when I started, we were pretty close to the same size, so it was cool to have somebody that I could drill with and roll with and work with. Because like, I don't know, all the adults were huge. When I was 11, I was like 90 pounds, and everyone's like 145 plus, and that's a huge weight difference. But like when I think a lot of it is, that's why I figured a lot of stuff out, just because I had somebody to do it to. I wasn't training with the kids. We didn't have a massive kids program, I don't think, when I started. Now we do. We have a ton of kids now. You
guys have space.
Well, that too. Yeah, we didn't have we had kids, but not a massive program when I started like we do now. So me and Grace were kind of just training in the fundamentals in the advanced class, and I think that's like being able to work with her is, I think, a reason why I got really good, just because I had somebody to do stuff to. Like the kids that I was competing against were my size, maybe a little bigger. They're not grown as adults, so if I'm just training with them all the time, I don't get looks at what a regular person is like to me.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge reason why I got good, just because I could train with her.
What's it been like coming up with the school and watching the growth of the school and watching how fast all of this has transpired, from Jimmy John's to the Redners to headquarters? Like, what's that been like for you to be there from that early on, and then be like, it's got to be motivating to see the growth of the school and see how hungry Zach and JM have been. And then we'll get into the Finishers tournament, but like, what's it been like to kind of move with the school and then just kind of see, because there's a lot of times when people talk about doing stuff and then you have hope, and then there's a lot of times when people, when you have somebody like Zach and JM are like, hey, we're moving and we're getting a bigger facility, like they always give out what they say they're going to do. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's got to be weird, not weird, but it's got to be something to be when you guys are moving every time with the school. And then what was it like for you to move with the school to get to the headquarters? Because the headquarters it's crazy.
It's crazy how big it is. We have a real nice spot.
I mean, even with the gym in the back, and like there's and we'll kind of get into all that because I want to get into like your training, because you definitely have stepped up what you're doing. But what's it been like to move?
So I think I don't remember when we moved out of the Jimmy John spot, but I hadn't been training for too long. It was definitely less than a year. I don't know exactly how long it was. But when we moved out of the Jimmy John spot, it was cool because like then we got to that spot that was in the Redners Plaza.
Yeah.
And everyone thought it was massive.
Yep.
And we were like, dude, we have so much mat space. We got
because there was a little back area,
we got
and there was like the
rooms.
Divider, so it was like this is for the back here.
Yeah, and then we had that back room with and then Bryant was doing workouts and stuff in there, and like it was cool. I think I spent the majority of my jiu-jitsu time in that space. In the Redners space so far. But no, it was crazy. Like we moved in, we didn't have enough wall pads for the wall. That's how big it was to us.
Yeah.
The whole, and I remember because we put, there was 2 holes put in that unmatted wall before we put wall pads in.
It's a good fix though. Just put the pad over
we just put the pads over it.
It's like posters in your bedroom.
Exactly. But no, it was crazy. We thought that was huge. And then whenever we moved out in last February, like a little more than a year ago, we moved out of the Redner's spot into the new Finishers HQ on Linden Street. And
it's such a different vibe.
Oh my Lord, dude, that was crazy. Like I remember, like Zach and JM had walked through and shown a video of all the space.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like it was really cool looking, but like then you actually walk in and you're like,
Well, it
oh
was
my
hard.
God. Like,
I went
it's so
over.
crazy.
I remember Zach calling me about the spot, and then like we drove by it because I think that was like early or mid COVID because he was having problems getting somebody to show it because of what was going on with COVID.
Yeah.
And then when we got to walk it, it still had like the laser tag shit up, so you couldn't really see how big. You knew it was big,
Yeah.
but you didn't know
really how it was.
big it was because
Yeah.
it was like you went into that first room, and in the first room it was mini golf, and then the back room was the laser tag, and then there was the other room which I don't even think they had a key for at the time, so we couldn't even see Bryant's area.
Right.
Like they were just like really going after that. And then I don't know, like that's just such a cool spot because it's got 3 parking lots and it's in a neighborhood, which makes it way easier to deal with than like lights and turning into the plaza
Yeah,
or
it's
like
so
how
much
Jimmy
more
John's was.
accessible.
There's traffic. Like
Yeah, dude.
I
that
go the
Jimmy-
back
there
way
was
where
negative parking at that Jimmy John's spot.
'cause you can
Literally
go
3 parking
You
spots.
can go past JM's place where you cut off there on 191, go past him, go all the way out to the Keystone Pub.
Yep.
Take a left there, and it's I could take my Grom there. Like it's all back roads pretty
Yeah,
much.
exactly. You just
And
get
then
up
if you
on
take
Linden
the
Street.
highway, it's easy to get to too. And then for having 3 parking lots and then everything at the facility, like, I mean, I owe everything that I'm doing with food to them. Like we always talked about it on Now We Go, and they'd be like, do it, and you'll just do it, and then how they are with everything. And then Zach was like, do you want to do food for Finishers? And
Yeah.
that was when I started doing the smash burgers, and I brought like 50 of them, and they were gone in 10 minutes.
Well, yeah, because me and everyone else had like 4. That's why.
well, Gina's always like, she's like, I just don't understand how they're eating so much. And I'm like, well, some of them are cutting weight and haven't ate at all. And then
Yeah.
those are the people that are like the last one we were doing the inside was the bagel Cuban. And then
Yep, that
the
was
one
good,
dude
too.
came up and got 4.
Yeah.
And was like taking some home,
Yeah.
and then Gina's like, I don't get it, and I'm like, well, one, they're athletes, so they're like always hungry
We're
because they're
eating
just
mad food.
Yeah, and then I was like, and then on top of it, it's like they're starving themselves to get here because like. No one ever gets a burger before they roll. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, so
No.
there's always like that small rush afterwards of all the people. But like when we started adding, or like when they asked me to do the food and we started adding the food there, like that's when like you could kind of tell like what they were doing was special. And then there's like, then that's when like I started bringing people on the podcast. So like I started being more familiar with people. And then like I don't get an hour. Like I run into you enough where like we're friends, and like Josh and some of the other guys that I see a lot, and Jimbo now. But like there's people I don't get to talk to, like Zach and even Thor, because he's over at Allentown.
Right.
So like to sit down with him for like almost 2 hours and do that interview is like, it's awesome because I get to know these people. But then when you started kind of seeing the Finishers tournament turn into what it was turning into, it really, I was like, yo, he's got like me doing food here, and you could get t-shirts inside, and then
Yeah.
there's like, now there's the coffee shop in there, and like it's pretty crazy. What was it like for you? Because I know how much you've helped the school, but I remember like when I first like became friends with Zach, is like we went down to, I think, New Jersey for a Finishers tournament, and then I think Preet was there, you might have been there, and we got we stayed in a hotel.
Was it at the Main Brothers gym?
Yes,
It might have
because
been
yeah, you did stay because I think you stayed with Preet or something.
I don't think I stayed. I just
maybe you
up with
came
my
down?
dad. I came down. I
yeah.
think my first Finishers was Finishers 3 back in like 2017 maybe.
Where was that at?
It was at the Main Brothers gym.
Yeah.
JM was in it. That was the one where he armbarred Ethan.
Is that the one where he stands up and he's like, ah?
Yeah, that's
yeah,
the
I
one.
used that in
Yeah.
that one clip.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the one. That was my first Finishers.
Yeah.
Grace
I think that was
on
my first Finishers as well.
Dude, that was such a good Finishers. To see where it's came from then until now.
Yeah, it was like,
so,
I tell him it
we're
was
in
like
we're
the
in
old
Main Brothers gym.
the old Pit Fighter game for Sega. It was like, it was like you had these tournaments, and it had such a cool like underground, like it had like a battle rap vibe where
Yep.
like you were in like warehouses.
8
and
Mile,
like,
dude.
Yeah, it did. And like we always talked about that. And it's like the Main Brothers, then they had like pliables, or they were doing like the
Yep.
the bowls there. there. Yeah, dude. And then like I remember I was just filming, and like that point I didn't even know how to edit or anything, and like I was just getting footage and was trying to create content, but you couldn't even put content out on Instagram back then.
Yeah.
It was like you could just put a picture up. But then you know, it was cool to just see the underworkings of how far that's come. And then what was the other one then? They did another one in Jersey where it was like on a second floor, and it was that was a dope spot too.
That was in the show The Art Gym.
Yeah.
Abe, I'm blanking on his last name, but
Yeah.
Abe set that one up. That was a good one too.
Yeah.
Keith Krikorian won that.
It was crazy because I mean it's like Tekken and all that shit where the background just changes,
Yeah,
and then
dude.
you have all the fighters
It was
coming in.
great. All the dude, even
Because
now,
that was when that dude that was the first time I ever saw somebody get choked out
to sleep.
unconscious.
Yeah, Andrew Kochel put that dude out.
Yeah, that was another crazy moment. 'Cause
That was
the
wild.
whole place, because they were going back and forth, and then he put him out, and everyone just goes, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
and then that's when like I fell
nuts.
in love with watching it and the community, and because everybody's so nice, and I try and tell everybody like you can't go into something like that where so many people like will just kind of like, hey, what's up, man? How are you? You need help with anything? Like it's a dope community, and then
Yeah.
go into those things, and then meeting other people from other jiu-jitsu schools. Like there's no bullshit. Everybody's just kind of, I'm sure it's there somewhere, but like you know what I mean. Everybody's getting along for the most part.
everybody's chill.
And
Like,
then those
everybody's real
finisher
cool.
ones. And then I'm trying to think where it went after that, because then I know he kept trying to bring it back home.
It was back to the Main Brothers for a while.
Yeah.
A couple of them were there. I don't remember what the first one that wasn't there, or I do know what the first one that wasn't there. The first one that wasn't there,
Was
if
it
I'm
the
correct,
Survivor Series, not the Saturday night fights or whatever?
We ran Finishers 7, which was the flyweights, 125. We ran it out of that Redner's gym
Yeah.
spot. I remember specifically because Zach Edwards brought a jar of like spicy pickled like meat or something like that, and he kept getting the meat juice all over the mat, and Jam was just getting pissed the whole time. I remember it was that one
Yeah, I
was
think
an event.
you guys did two things out of there maybe, or it was just that one, but then the venue was obviously too small, and then that
Yeah.
was like the selling point.
Yeah.
Where when we walked that other one, Zach's like, well, you know, because every time, like in the early ones, it's like I didn't know what I was doing with this, so I had way more time to help out and do shit. And plus I just enjoyed seeing
was cool to be
meeting
there.
Ross. You know what I mean? Like Ross is so cool, and like
Yeah.
he's such like to see what he does so that you can watch it on YouTube, and that like it's not even stress for him, and he's just like I look at that stuff and I'm like, yeah, I don't even know what's going on. I don't even
Yeah.
know what's going on with this. Like, you know, and then to Ross to just be like the tech guy on that, and then to meet him, and then slowly, you know, the guys come in, meeting Preet was always there. There was a couple of younger kids. I don't even know if they're still with the school, or they might be, but just meeting all the people who like just help out. Quentin,
Yep.
before Quentin was what Quentin's doing now, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
he was just back there. You know, I remember running into him, and he was just taking pictures and doing photos and stuff like that. And then for him to land finishers at that school now and to run the tournaments the way they are, and how everybody comes out there is totally insane. When did you start competing in finishers? And that, like, did you have to wait to be a certain age, or like when were you able to start competing in finishers?
The first finishers I did was finishers. It was the third open we ran. I think it was the first time they did a teen division, and I did my weight and then absolute, and I think that was finishers 10. We ran that at the I don't know what the name of the building is now.
Was
but
it the one with the gym?
It was
No,
the,
that was when they did the Survivor Series when Zach retired.
Yeah,
That was a crazy location.
That one was cool. It was what was the building? It used to be the Econo Lodge. I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
what it is.
yeah.
Remember that
It was
one?
off of 512 or
Yep.
whatever.
I
I
don't
brought
know
a
what
bunch
it's-
of people to that.
I don't know what it's called now, but that was my
there was
first.
a bar there.
Yep.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Bro, we
yeah.
were there till
there
like
was hot
1 a.m.
dogs there.
Dude, Zach and JM decided to run the open and the pro show the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
night,
yeah,
and
yeah.
run two pro brackets, two.
Yeah, I
16
remember it
people
was
pro
late, and my
brackets.
buddies
Oh.
were like, "What is this?" And I was just like, "They're still running stuff." I think we hung out till like 11:30, 12.
Yeah, we were there till like 1 in the morning. But no, that was my first finishers, and then I've been.
I
on,
forgot
I've been on
about
most
the
of them since.
hotel. That
one
was so
fun.
dated, and that place was just such a rundown. But it also had its own vibe to it. Once
Yeah,
again, like it just
it gave it the vibe that we needed.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
because it was like, you know, he always talks about going to a venue like that again, because I think you could fill a room out like that even more than what it was there. But I remember they had a DJ there. That's right. That's right. I got
that one was so much fun.
My buddy Kevin hooked him up with I forget the guy's name. Yeah, it was a DJ. I forgot all. It's crazy how much. It's almost like you forget about it all because it happened so fast and it just kept growing. There wasn't any.
Yeah,
there wasn't downtime.
What finishers are we on now? We're on like finishers like 16, 17.
Where did
maybe?
it go after the hotel?
After the hotel.
Oh, went to remember that place over in Allentown?
Finishers
It was
11.
the place that had the wrestling ring and the airplane in the back room.
Yep,
And there was one bathroom on the way.
That was the.
And then everyone bitched about parking.
The lockdown edition of
Yeah,
finishers because that was in like June when the Rona was actually real.
Yeah.
No, that one was cool. We had the wrestling ring like.
But that was an awesome venue because of where they actually had the jiu-jitsu shit was really cool. But then the rest of the place was just so odd.
Yeah, there was a wrestling ring, and Preet and Jimbo were just doing like RKOs and stuff inside the wrestling ring.
But then the people were warming up in the back area too. Like it's cool, like because it's so motivating for me to always and like I said, I always want Zach and JM to be ahead of me because it gives me hope when like I see what they were trying to. The idea of what they wanted to do is what's going on now.
Yeah.
So like it started way back when you can't do it how you want to do it in the beginning. You gotta put work into it. You gotta
expand that bubble.
Yeah. So like when every time he got a little bit closer, but it's so hard to find a venue. It's so hard to find the correct venue. And then when he landed renting that place, and then now his spot is the venue.
Yeah.
It's very similar to like I said with going up to the cafe and having the studio next to it, and like. You take out all the bullshit. All the roadblocks are now gone.
Right.
And then all you're doing is working, and then you have nothing stopping you.
Right.
Like with doing the pop-ups, it's like I got to pull permits. I got to do this. I got to promote it. With having a restaurant, it's like I can do the pop-ups inside there now. I can also help out a lot of businesses. Plus, I could be doing cooking shows. Plus, the studio's connected to it. Like it's very similar to like what they did. So I've been very grateful.
It's gonna be your thing.
Very grateful to have met them through Dan. Cryo Dan from back in the day was the first introduction because they needed a spot to have Eddie Bravo call into their podcast, and that's how we met. And then because we had Dan on, and that just kind of opened the door. But to see where they're at now is like it's super motivating if you pay attention to anything they're doing.
Yeah, it's really cool. And now now we're having all the opens. We're having the pro shows at our gym. That is one of my favorite. That's got to be
huge for you because you can compete and not go anywhere.
Well, yeah, it's huge for me because I drive 15 minutes down the road and make it to the gym. But it's also really cool because now the majority of my matches are in front of my guys.
Yeah.
Right? So like when I remember the first pro show finishers that I did, it was the first finishers combat card. It was June of last year, and it was hot as hell in there, dude. There was there was too many people in there.
Yeah,
it was 1,000 degrees, and it was right in front of like all the dudes that I train with. Literally everybody that I know was there through the gym. Everybody that I know was there, and my match went the whole 8 minutes. Went into overtime. I tapped the dude in overtime. Everyone was all excited, and then I had to escape or just defend myself faster, and I got a dude's back control in like 2 seconds, and everyone just freaked out, and it was the coolest thing because I was like 16, blue belt, like first finishers pro tournament, pro card, and everyone was right there, and I was like, and I just freaked out, and it was cool. And
it's fun when those moments occur there. Even like now, I don't get to watch them as much because I'm outside making food, but I remember one time when you were up and Mary Jo, she'll be like, oh, Sid's up. And then we can now watch it through the feed. It's a little delayed, but all you hear is, raw!
Yeah,
and then
dude.
You see what's going on because there's a delay in it. But it's cool. And then he's got it in the lobby. So like last time we were inside, I can't wait for the weather to break just to get back out in the parking lot. But
but you were just hitting the bagels and watching the matches.
Yeah, so we were able to just kind of watch some of the matches. But I do miss being able to sit in there and like take that all in because it's an experience that I think everybody should experience. That like, man, it's you'll fall in love with it quick because it's not boring. It's hard hitting. The matchups are.
It's not like anything else.
It's very well thought out.
It's not like anything else.
It's cool. What's been created over there. So after your first one, you've obviously been competing a lot. How do you go about your training? Like, do you kind of like see your opportunities to compete and stuff? Do they ask you to do it? Are you kind of in control of when you want to compete at this point because of you're older? Like, how much competing do you plan on doing in like the next years and coming up?
I try to compete as much as I can because I love doing it. First of all,
it's got to get addicting.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's not like anything else. Like, I can train as much as I want to because I'm not far from the gym and I can drive. But like on the days that I compete, those are when I have the most fun doing jiu-jitsu, regardless of how I do. Those are the days I have the most fun. But like, I train 5, 6, 7 days a week, depending on what I'm doing. I'm lifting 3-4 times a week.
Yeah. When did you start bringing that in? Because that had to have been a game changer. Like, that's the other thing is like having him at the gym. Because I had him on. He came on Trainer Don't, and then I brought him on, and he's just such a special person and knows so much. And then for him to have that gym all the way in the back, and then you guys like have a facility, like it's not just. Right. And then having Amy there as well, like on the weekends on Fridays to do body work, like it's nuts what you can actually take advantage of if you belong to that school.
Yeah, like I started with Bryant in May of last year, and I've noted like it's been noticeable how like I've gotten stronger and how it's for me how I feel when I roll and how I feel when I compete. Like before I started training with him, when I was going with the adults, I would just mostly rely on my technique being way better than whoever I was competing against. But then I would run into dudes that are just yoked out of their mind, and I'm like, oh shit, I can't do anything. So then I started working with Bryant. And since I've started working with Bryant, I put on like 20 pounds, dude. I'm walking at like 155 right now. I started with him in May. I was still competing in 135. So like, it's been noticeable. And when I train too, now I can be on par with technique with the guys I roll with, and I can be as strong as they are. So it's made leaps and bounds for me.
It's got to be a unique experience to learn the technique that young and then put in all this work and then, set up your life so you can do it more. And then when you implement something like strength and conditioning, you can actually see where it is because the technique is there. So like you're paying attention to technique, but then when you could see things getting better because you're getting stronger,
right.
That's got to be cool as an athlete to be able to start really dialing in. And you're so young, there's going to be so much more coming down the pipe that it's got to be cool to actually see the knowledge you're taking from him and now applying it back in, and you're really making your own with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, like I think like working with Bryant, again, it's made so much progress for me in my jiu-jitsu. Like I can move way better now. I can like I feel stronger positionally. Like on top, I'm able to hold people down better. Like just overall, I feel better. Like and then I can just move. Like I think a huge part of jiu-jitsu is being able to control your body and being able to figure out what you need to do with all your different muscles. Because like I don't know, it's you and your body versus somebody else and their body. So it's like for you to be able to have control over every muscle in your whole body is super important. And I think starting to work with him and really dial in what I need to be working on is super important. I think the other reason, like I love going in and lifting with him. Like before, and again, I think it's the vibe that's in there. Like when I go back and work out with Bryant, we just crank the music. Yeah. There's like other people
Black
with
walls.
us. Yeah, it's cool. Like I would, like, it's so hard it was so hard for me to do anything before because I would just try to exercise by myself and I'd be like, I don't want to do this. But now, like I'll just go and work with Bryant and then I'll be in there for an hour. We'll just crush the weights and then I go train. And then I think the other reason I love it is because I can see and track my progress a lot better than I can with jiu-jitsu because it's just numbers. Right, like whatever weight I'm putting up, I can just keep track of what I'm doing, like how much I can bench, how much I can deadlift, how much I can squat, whatever it is, and I can see myself getting better. From the point that I started until now, it's crazy. I haven't been lifting with him a year yet, and I can see it's huge.
Yeah,
like I remember the first time that I worked with him, we did deadlifts with the trap bar, and I could like lifting body weight on that. Like I was probably 140. Lifting my body weight with that deadlift is crazy. And then a little while ago, I hit 315, 330, I think 335 on it. So it's like I can just see myself getting better, and I think that's a reason that I love it. So, and it's helping my jiu-jitsu. So it's like that's another thing. If I don't get my lift in, I'm like, dude, I need to do something or I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah, I went when we did. I'll have to have him back on when I had Jamie and him on, and we did the One Warrior podcast, and then we worked out beforehand, and I went in and was just like, look, like my back will get fucked up at times, and I'll be like, like, hey, like, just figure it out, like that, so I don't get hurt.
Right.
And when I went in there and like. He knew so much about technique and what to do, and like I was like, yo, like he was just like, hey, we're gonna do this, and like they weren't trying to like outshow me by like, hey, we're lifting all this stuff, I hope you can keep up. It wasn't like
it's not a competitive vibe.
No, not at all. And then like very much so, and he's such a special teacher. And then the three of us just went through all this stuff, and I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, yo, I could like do that every day. Like that would be something beneficial. And then, I could see where they would slowly build it up and move stuff up. And it's like, there's so much different stuff back there with the mobility sticks. And then like we were using, I forget what he had on the wall. And then just everything back there, I was just like, yo, like, and everything he had back there, he knew like 520 things that you could work out with that on there.
Exactly.
It's a super special place. Where do you see kind of like your career going? Where do you see your next steps in the school and jiu-jitsu? Like, where do you see everything going in the next couple of years for you?
That's a hard question because like right now I'm kind of just working on getting better at my jiu-jitsu and getting stronger. Like I have a couple competitions in the future, a couple months from now, that haven't been announced, that haven't put out there yet. But like eventually I'm gonna go to the next ADCC trials in 2024, 25, whenever it's gonna be. I'll do East Coast and then I might do West Coast, but I'm definitely gonna do that. If they have I gotta be 18 first, but if they run,
when do you turn 18?
December.
Yeah.
If they run a combat jiu-jitsu qualifier, or if I get to do combat jiu-jitsu, I do that. I don't know, like all the high level.
So you're open to everything.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me what like. There's some tournaments that I'll be like, I don't really feel like doing that, but like, no, I'll be on Finishers more. I'll be on Emerald City again. Eventually, I want to get to EBI. I want to get to combat jiu-jitsu. I want to do ADCC trials. And then, I feel like a lot of people's goal is to get to ADCC, and that's kind of where I want to go. But I got a long way towards that. So next trials is not for 2 years, and then next ADCC isn't for another 3. So I got a while to get better and get bigger and, compete a lot more, right? 2 years between now and the next trials. Like there's such a huge amount of time. I can compete as many times as I want to. There's like 52 weeks in a year. I could compete every weekend if I wanted to. So it's like, it's kind of whenever I want to do it, It's like right now, again, I'm just trying to focus in on getting parts of my jiu-jitsu game up, and right now I'm trying to get bigger so that way I can come down to the weight class I want to fight in instead of being at that weight, because that's a huge thing for me. Is like I feel like I'm pretty strong as it is now, and I want to compete at 155. But some of these dudes that are competing at 155 are cutting from like 170, and they're absolute demons, bro.
Yeah.
Like. And then I'll go in and I'll fight them and I'll roll with dudes, and I'm like, I'm nowhere near, like I might be on par with technique, but you're way stronger than me. So I'm trying to get my weight up. I'm trying to get my muscle up. So that way when I do come back to competition, I can just fight at 55 and just feel good at that weight. You know what I mean? Because like these last couple ones I did, I was 145. I would get down to 145. The next morning I would rehydrate. I'd be back up to like 156. So like I'm coming in way bigger than the dudes that I'm fighting then. So now I want to do that same thing at 155, just because there's more matches there for me, I think.
Do you plan on staying at the school and trying to like build jobs in there so you can kind of just keep everything in house, or like do you think that you're going to branch out to find other work outside of the school, or do you think you're going to keep trying to just keep it in house just to kind of hone this monster even more?
So I'll go train wherever. Like I'm gonna one of my friends, AJ Deshani's opening up a gym in the summer, and I'm gonna go train with him.
And you always go along when the guys teach at other schools and stuff.
Yeah,
too.
so I'm all over the place. I'm not open to training other places. So like I get training wherever. But eventually I do want to open up my own gym, but to open up a 10th planet, I got to be a black belt first. So I got a little bit before then. but yeah, right now it's just going to be staying in the gym and training and teaching and lifting. That's the recipe for how I'm going to do it.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you making the time to come on, and we've been wanting to do this for a while, and I've always wanted to know kind of, I meet people at the school, and then I'm really interested in hearing their stories. And when I started interviewing the people from Finishers, everybody has such a unique story on how they got to the school. And you have now been, a part of that list of people. And I just think it's really remarkable to have parents like that fully support you and are open to kind of free thinking and other opportunities and allowing you to put in the work as long as you show the results. And I don't know if you comprehend it this young, just because I know that the lights don't really turn on to like 35. But what you have going on is going to really give you leaps and bounds of an advantage of being an adult later in life. And I can't wait to watch the story unfold. It's always awesome to see you at the school. It's always awesome how excited you are to eat burgers. And I really enjoy watching your come up through here. And, when I think like Zach made the Recognize My Come Up, and like there's a lot of stuff that goes on in that school, and it's not just t-shirts and flair and whatnot. Like when you put out a t-shirt that says Recognize My Come Up, like there's people coming up in that school, and it's cool.
I don't have that shirt actually.
Dude, that's an old one. I might have it in the back.
I have the Trainer Don't one.
Yeah.
But I grew out of the Recognize My Come Up one, and my brother has it now, and I feel like I need it now. I didn't need it 5 years ago. I need it now.
Yeah. I can get one off. So if Zach can find that artwork, I can get that done for you.
All right. I'm going to see if I can find that.
Yeah, no, there's some early stuff. I used to just buy their shirts, and I have rash guards in the back just because they were cool. And like, I just bought them to support them. And then the one day I was like going through my stuff, and I'm like, oh, these are like such lost gems because they don't really run stuff back like that.
Dude, it's part of the archives, dude. There's so much stuff that like Zach and JM have that isn't around the gym that you'll go back and you're like, dude, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Like I have a whole bunch of stuff in my room. I have one of the tickets from that Finishers 10 in the Econo Lodge.
Yeah.
I have a poster from Finishers 3. I got most of the Finishers shirts, a bunch of the rash guards.
The first one we worked on was the one where it was Ryu shooting it was the 10th Planet Ball.
Yep,
yeah, that was the first thing. I think Rizart did that. And then that was the first time I started working with Zach on t-shirts. And then it was like we kind of went from there, and I helped him out with a couple projects. And then we started doing everything through Axelrad, and then just, developing new things. And then he's been doing all the stores and Cruise Combat. And it's crazy, man. But like that's the thing is like you look back to those old t-shirts where it was like Recognize My Come Up, and then like now he's running stores. You know what I mean? Like through Cruise Combat, like there isn't a better example of like seeing what those guys are doing, and like it just all comes back to putting the work in. Like with JM doing, it was crazy the first time I got to watch him on TV, like on Fight Pass, and I'm like standing up yelling, I'm like, yo, like that stuff.
Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds on Fight Pass, dude, man.
Like them watching that and then seeing the Trainer Don't stuff he's doing, and then both of them had their own podcast. We did Now We Go, which ended up on fucking Tiger King.
King?
Yeah, man,
Dude.
It's crazy. Like, because everything's just, and all three of us are just, like, because my relationship with them is like everybody's always working. So like, if I talk to JM next year, where we're both at is totally different. If I talk to Zach, I talk to him almost every day, and it's like to watch him grow into what he's doing, and then the Flow grappling deal, and it's like, dude, it's like it doesn't stop, and like that's what the remarkable thing is how much it's pushed, and then it's always level up. I don't remember the last time that either of those guys were coasting.
No, I don't think. It's been a while since they just stopped doing stuff. I don't think they've ever stopped doing stuff. Not it's been a while. I don't think they ever have.
But if you look
they've just been going for it.
If you look at like what people, even if you just look at them from the business standpoint, which I do, and then it's just like I work harder because they're working harder. And then if you look at the students who have schools and are pushing themselves, like that mentality is coming off of the two of them doing it. It's pretty unique what's going on there.
Look at the people in our gym that are having a lot of success right now. Thor's got his own gym. Renee just went and did trials, and
That
did
was
really
so
well.
fun to watch all those
Dude,
videos.
yeah, man.
And like him
Renee's
just
all
ecstatic, and he's
That's
like,
what I'm
yo,
saying. Like obviously Grace is doing like all the guys that compete, myself included. Like all of us just work real hard just because we feed off of the energy that Zach and JM put forth.
Yeah,
like
it's really cool.
If they just like decide they were like, we're not gonna do anything for the gym anymore. We're not gonna try to make more moves. We're just gonna do our thing and make money and run a tournament. Then everyone would just be like, you know what I mean? No one would really be doing anything. But since they're pushing for this flow deal, they're pushing for more gear. They're pushing for they're trying to help us.
Yeah,
they're not doing it for them, like a little bit. But they're really trying to help us because we're all the guys that are.
You guys are what makes it keep going.
We're the next generation of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
that's what it is. So they're doing all this stuff for us, so we're doing it to give back, and we're kind of just hustling along with them. I think that's how it is.
Yeah, man. Not a better way to end it than with that comment about you guys being the next generation of jiu-jitsu. I want to thank you again for coming on. I want to give you a chance to plug your social media because it is a good follow, and I like that you're putting yourself out there more and doing the techniques. So I just kind of want to give you a chance to plug it. And anytime you ever want to come on or want to come on with Preet and just bullshit or whatever you want to do, or you ever want to promote anything, the door is always open for you, man.
Hell yeah, I appreciate it. This camera?
Yep.
All right, so we got my Instagram.
You and Ricky are the only two that like Ricky shot a promo.
I'm not about to cut a whole promo right now. Dude, Ricky's a character.
Yeah.
But I got my Instagram at GingerGrappler10p. Obviously, you guys know Zach and JM's Instagram, 10Plant Bethlehem. Follow at the One Warrior. That's my guy Jamie. He was on the podcast earlier. I have his go buy his gear if you're a jiu-jitsu guy. cruisecombat.com/One Warrior. The link is in my Instagram bio. Bryant Pabon, he has the gym in the back. His link to his gear and his gym is also in my Instagram bio. Go check his stuff out. If you're at the gym and you're not lifting with Bryant and you're trying to get good jiu-jitsu, I don't know what you're doing. Go lift with Bryant. What else I got? Juliana. She does pictures for the Finishers tournament. She got a spot in the back of my rash guard. She does great pictures. If you're looking for pictures for coverage for tournaments, hit her up. She's always at Finishers. Buy her stuff.
I gotta get her on the podcast.
That would be a good one. That would be her and John Battle would be a solid one.
Yeah.
What else I got? I think that's it. Oh yeah, one more. 10p Minigoons on Instagram. That's me and Zach's kids class. Go check that out. I think that's it.
And your True Path.
Oh yeah, that too. This True Path shirt is the man. Go check their stuff out. They're having an open mat at the gym on April 23rd. It's a Saturday night. So I don't know what y'all are doing on Saturday night, but I'm gonna be doing jiu-jitsu. So come through to the gym if you're training. So yeah, that's
dope, man.
That's what I got. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Anytime you need anything, you can always hit me up, man. If you're a first-time listener, first-time watcher, it is neveragainstudio.com. That's where we have everything. If you go over and subscribe to the YouTube, we are making our way to being monetized on there. So all the subscriptions help. So please subscribe to that. You can get all of our past shows on the YouTube. We're on iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff. So go check all that out. The apparel is going, by the time this airs, we will be rocking this new shirt, and we will be dropping a commercial for that, and that's with Luke Delmeyer, who's also involved in the school, and he makes awesome knives. And then slowly I'm going to start bringing all of my apparel back. So go check out the sponsors. If you ever have any questions on if you need anything, I can usually direct you to people who are networked with the school, and you can support local, and you can support the sponsors who support me. So thank you guys so much. I'll let you get out of here, man. That was dope.
That was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Your story's cool.
Yeah.
I never knew the whole...
Never Again Radio. Get into it, brother.